Hello everyone, this is the Triple Cross again. So I've been investigating Divine Truth, AJ Miller of the Divine Truth channel on YouTube, and to see what we can learn from him when what we can stay away from to help us return to source sooner. The video, I was asked to do a video, and I'm very grateful to Angelique who asked me to do an analysis of him, because I put out a video yesterday which explained that I actually got a little bit of information from AJ Miller, aka Jesus Christ, in terms of how much power the ordinary person has. So that was a positive aspect of the analysis. Now here comes the other aspect, the dark elements of the analysis. And as I sit here, I am totally flabbergasted. I'm still trying to it's like every time you experience layers of darkness, it never ceases to amaze you of how stagnant and just stubborn they are as a group. And so there are moments that leaves you completely, as we say in Spanish, as far as I know, boquiabierto. French, bouche bée, and totally agape. Your mouth completely agape, rendered to silence because of the level of darkness people are willing to dive into and to stay into, and to keep using words like God to defend themselves and to create cults. The media has a right about AJ in terms of this word. I don't know if the media has the details correct, but AJ Miller, aka Jesus Christ, lies about so many things. And so we're going to do an analysis of him. We're going to do it just by looking at what he says. So if you have a problem, look at the information, because he's not telling you the whole story. He's telling you a piece of the story. And he expects you to only look at that piece and not look at a bigger structure. So AJ Miller, aka Jesus of Australia, says that he is the first Jesus of the 21st century. Now, he may be telling the truth there. He is the first fake one to be maneuvering through the frequencies like a serpent. That very well might be true. But AJ Miller is very, very dangerous. Far more dangerous than quartz crystal. Far, far, far more dangerous than Mag Bitter Truth. AJ Miller is a being who has some positive things about him. We're not all completely dark, but he has a huge darkness in him, and I'm amazed to how calm he is when he just dishes out a lot of lies with the bits and pieces of truth sprinkled on top of the salad. Okay, salad is a mixture of things, so this is how the universe is set up. I hope that a lot of spirits are listening to this. And I'm glad I did many videos on the reincarnation trap, because reincarnation is not supposed to be happening the way it's happening. We are being forced. So I don't know how many videos. I mean, I don't want to make one video too long, so we'll see. I'll see how it goes. I wrote things down, but I know that if I overplan, then I don't do a good job. So we'll see how far we get before we stop this particular section of the video. In any case, we're going to look at A.J. Miller. We're going to look at the big picture. We're going to look at his professed understanding of reincarnation. We're going to look at soulmates, the element of love. We're going to look at, what else we're going to look at? We're going to look at the shape of the earth, the dimension, and something else. Okay, let me check my notes. And we're going to look at globally the overall divine truths and the validity of them. We're going to embed the fourth note into the other element. So, A.J. Miller. If you're not careful, A.J. Miller will hold you in the hellish frequencies for a long time. He is helping some people, but he is hurting people more than he is helping them. I remember the reason why I turned him off years ago was because he wasn't helping me, and I wanted higher and deeper truths, not just emotional. That I already knew. Pretty much most of what he teaches you can get out of what you've been told in life. You know, treat others like you would like to be treated, because deep inside 1 + 1 is equal to 1. Things like that. We are eternal. I mean, it's just basics. You don't have to listen to AJ to understand this. But I do understand that most people are in a bind, or they feel they need a hierarchical being to tell them what to do, which is often a trap. So let's go right into it. We're going to look at 3 videos I marked down for this first part of the A.J. Miller Jesus fraud phenomenon. So what is the first thing here? Okay, so the first is we're going to talk about the whole notion of, and so this is where AJ is interviewed, where he says he's not God, and that would be important to understanding. So what we're going to do is we're going to look at specifics, and we're going to analyze whether or not what he's saying has validity, and if he's denying something or lying about something, because we can't toss the baby out with the bathwater, because we can't say our intellect is unimportant. We can't say our brains are unimportant, because we're still in the physical, and that helps us to understand things to a certain degree, and your soul will figure out the rest. So we have to use our mind to a certain extent. So let's get into it. Let me find the video. All right, this interview says Goina Productions.
How do they think they're going to be money when I do everything for free?
I know. So,
So Jesus is being interviewed.
That's all right.
So this part is about how he thinks himself either as God or not God. He says he's not God.
No, but it is great. Really good.
Because he just got fun hair, so it's kind of...
Good. That's better. Tucked in more.
Yeah, no.
It was just a bit straight.
It's just a bit distracting.
frizzies. The television don't like frizzies.
Wow.
I could
It's
get another
very,
tea.
it's very precise, like very
Clear.
clear.
Yeah. Every detail.
Yep.
That's why I don't think.
All right, shall we get underway?
Well, are you ready?
Gentlemen and ladies.
We are running.
Okay, you all right?
Yep.
Okay. Tell me about the first moment when you said to yourself, I am Jesus.
First moment I said to myself, I am Jesus. Well, it wasn't really like that. It was more to do. It was more of a gradual process over a period of about 1 week, I suppose, where
A gradual process, 1 week. Oh, I'm dead. I'm dying here. A week is a gradual process. In the life of an ant, in the life of a fly, a week is a gradual process. In the life of a human being who live to be 70, 80 years old, that is not gradual. Let's skip ahead to 31 minutes where he talks about he is not God. Oh man, I can't. This is killing me. Oh man.
what's wrong is that God and Jesus are one, or in the sense of I am God, Jesus is God, and I certainly know I'm not God. An entity with whom you can connect like a parent. The second thing is that I feel that there's a primary thing that they've got wrong, is that God and Jesus are one, or in the sense of I am God, Jesus is God, and I certainly know I'm not God. and if is that God and Jesus are one, or in the sense of I am God, Jesus is God, and I certainly know I'm not God.
Okay, so he's not God. He says he's not God. Okay. No, let's just continue.
And in fact, every spirit in the spirit world knows that Jesus is not God.
That is not true. Not every spirit in the spirit world knows that Jesus is not God because they are following him in the spirit world. That long vision that I had months before I started doing these YouTube videos the last couple of months was at first I didn't understand. I was like, okay, because it's hard when you remember. Sometimes it's hard to remember all the details of the astral realm, the non-physical realm. So Magda the Truth was one that I remember clearly because I don't know if because he was the first one or not, but in any case, now this guy I'm much more certain that he was the figure who sat in a chair, a kingly chair, and was being carried across a land and many lands. He was very dark. So there is not. I'm not just looking at it from this and what he said and analyzing it. I'm also looking at it from the perspective of the evidence that I have from the non-physical state. Okay, so he said that he is not God. And let's go into the meaning of not being God and the implications of not being God for him and what he is claiming.
And this is one of the main errors that is still on the earth with regard to whether Jesus is God or not. There's this belief that Jesus is God because of my one-minute condition while I was on earth in the first century. Now, it's sort of like it's like seeing someone in a state of perfection and then thinking that they must be God because they're the only person around who's perfect. And what I was trying to teach was that everybody could become perfect. I said, you must become perfect, just like your Heavenly Father is perfect.
Just like your Heavenly Father is perfect. If you become perfect, are you not God? What is this hang up with people with the word God anyway? Because they've been trained, indoctrinated to think that the word God necessarily means that you have an ego problem. Just because you're God doesn't mean that you can't suffer and you can't be swindled. It doesn't mean necessarily that you are better than people. It doesn't. Everything is equal in the universe. So he just said that you can become perfect. By his own logic, he who becomes perfect is by definition the best there is in anywhere. So that person is God. So if you want to go back farther enough, this guy is actually God in disguise, lying because he has a lot of weaknesses and he can't ascend until he cleans it up. So what we're doing, by exposing this guy, it takes him out of the darkness and he has to come into the light. We're actually helping him, just like we're helping other people to see the truth, even if a lot of people may be denying this. Too bad.
But many Christians think that I was saying it from the position of being God. I often say to them, you are my brother and sister. Which
That's not what's happening. You're my brother and sister. That's not what's happening in the non-physical, AJ. In the non-physical, you're being carried. You're sitting in a chair and you're being carried around the land, different parts of the world, as if you were holier than anything else or any other being in the universe. This is your trickery. This is your deception. You're not God, you said, but yet you are being carried around in the astral. You're lying to people about reincarnation. You're lying to people about soulmates. You're lying to people about... Now, I didn't hear from his mouth in terms of the shape of the world, but I really don't have any doubts to what I heard from one of his followers. But that is up to you to decide. We will get into that later. Let's keep going.
automatically means that I'm not God. I am a child of God, just as they are. So that's another main doctrinal point, I feel.
There is no such thing as children of God. There's no such thing as creation. Creation is merely taking what is and tweaking it. If that's what you want to call creation, you can't make anything out of thin air. You can only take things that already is and change it to another form. Okay? If you go back to the very beginning...
The third one is this viewpoint that as long as you believe, you'll be saved. And it's not about belief. It's about your emotional and soul-based condition in love.
Yes, he is very conditioned. Let's skip ahead a little bit to 36 minutes, where the interviewer asked him a very beautiful question, basically asking him, how he expects people to really accept all this nonsense if he himself is not at one with God. If you're not one with God, quote unquote, I say source, then how does anyone who is awake enough, foolish to follow you?
I went through in the first century before that came along.
Now look, AJ, you are asking a lot of people. You're asking everything. You're asking people to give up their families.
Through the same process I went through in the first century before that came along.
Now look, AJ, you are asking a lot of people. You're asking everything. You're asking people to give up their families, give up their homes, give up everything, and to come and follow you. That's what's happened. And
I don't agree with that, David.
But it's happening.
Yeah,
The
I
people
don't
are
agree.
throwing in their lot with you, utterly. They're coming and they're really just giving...
But you preceded the question by saying that I'm asking that of them.
All right,
I am
okay.
not
Well, that's
asking-
what's happening, right?
I am not asking anything of anybody. Their desire and their passion is what needs to motivate them in their life. All I'm doing is telling them the truth about how things happen.
He is not telling the truth. I put my soul on it. This guy is a con artist. He's a liar. And he has a lot of work to do. AJ, you got work to do. AJ, is anybody there? Knock, knock. God.
And I'm telling them the truth about God, and I'm telling them the truth about their soul,
Oh,
the truth about many of the
this
other
is hurting my
things that are on
ears.
today. All I'm doing is telling them the truth.
No, he's not.
I perfectly honour their free will to make the choice to do whatever they will with that. Now, some of them have decided to leave families. Now, I don't necessarily agree with deciding to leave families. I certainly haven't left mine. I still have an interaction with mine. However, there are times when the families become so upset about what you're believing, that sometimes out of love of yourself, you do need to stay away from them for a while. But I'm not encouraging leaving anything. I'm encouraging getting together with everything.
Okay, that's enough of that bullshit. Let's skip to ahead a little bit to conclude that element of asking a lot of people, because he is asking a lot of people. He's asking a lot of people. He's asking too much of people. Let's be more precise like that. This guy was a better interviewer than the one that I've seen. The other two interviews that I've seen. Thank God this guy posed this question. What does he ask?
Or not is totally that's totally independent of me. I don't have control over that, and I don't want to ever have control over that either.
Well, look, if you're not at one with God, then why should they trust you?
And so forth about love, but whether a person listens to the truth about love or not is totally that's totally independent of me. I don't have control over that, and I don't want to ever have control over that either.
Well, look, if you're not at one with God, then why should they trust you?
Well, to be frank, I'm quite amazed that some of them do. But the
That
truth
is so
that
honest.
They,
He's amazed because he's fooling them.
what happens a lot with people when they hear the divine truth is the divine truth resonates with things in their soul. They start wondering, they start pondering, and they start feeling like, wow, there's a lot of things here that sort of make sense to me, that have never made sense to me before. And once they connect with that emotionally and they start feeling, wow, this feels like to be truthful, the truth is that many of them will follow that truth even though they may not believe that I'm Jesus, or they may not believe that Mary's Mary Magdalene, or any of those things. And as you know, many of the people who come along to the seminars are unsure on those issues. However, they are attracted to the truths that they feel, that they personally feel are being heard by them. And to me, that's the reason, or that's the thing that's motivating many of them at the moment to follow what I'm saying to them to do. And in the future, obviously, as I and then Mary and then others become at one with God, there will be living proof on the earth that what I'm saying to them right now is true. But obviously, this period of time, there's not that living proof. They can see the changes that Mary has made over a period of 3 years. They can see the changes that I've made over a period of 6 years, and that can illustrate the truth to a degree. But until we become at one with God, there won't be the firm evidence that everybody requires to prove that I am Jesus or not. And once that at-one-ment occurs, then obviously there'll be much more strong evidence about whether I am Jesus and about whether Mary is Mary Magdalene and whether others of the 14 other people we're saying them to be. But at this stage, I don't really expect anyone to believe. I'm just following my passion of telling the truth and giving the truths out there to anybody who wants to listen. And if they want to listen and follow it now, that's their decision. And to me, I applaud that decision because I feel that if they do that, their lives will benefit immensely as a result. And there are many people who have had large benefits in their life as a result.
This is a question people want answered, I guess. Tell me about the money. How are you paying for this? You're not working. Mary's not working.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of DVDs going out. There's a lot of stuff happening. How are you paying for this?
How we pay for everything is through donations that we receive. So we don't actually have collections at any of the seminars or anything like that. We just have a mechanism on the internet that people can donate to us, And we have a mechanism on the at every seminar where it's just a contribution box at the back of the hall where people can donate to us. And what we do with that money is we get that money. Myself and Mary obviously live on some of that money. You can see from the environment you...
Okay, sorry, I let that go on a little too long there. I had to go do something really fast. I didn't want to start the video over. I didn't know how to pause and continue. I don't think this video does that. So basically, AJ claims that he is not God, and he bullshits. He gives a bullshit answer about how people can trust him. And he gives an honest answer if you listen closely. He says, honestly, I don't know how. I don't know how either. You know, if you're not, okay, let's look at the definitions. Let's look at, basic logic. If you're not at a certain point of awareness, then you can't perceive. So if I'm at a certain level of awareness, then it's not possible for people to be below me to be aware of what I'm aware of. I can be aware of what they're aware of, but some things that I'm aware of, they can't be aware of. So AJ is not one with God, so he's not he cannot have the divine truths. He can't have a divine truth if he's not at one with God. So this is, looking at this premise, this is, he's deceiving you. But if that's not enough, we will look at the program that we have here. We'll continue here. So the first video, we'll end it there. And let's go into reincarnation. His assertions and lies and machinations about reincarnation. Now, reincarnation is a huge, huge topic. It's an important topic because reincarnation is how the whole entire system is set up. Reincarnation is set up from the Council Enlil and Enki and all these beings to the Council, to the AI, right? The entire universe. Remember, the universe is a disk. I call it more like a sphere, but some people think a sphere has to be a globe. But okay, so I'll just use the word disk. It's like a disk. It's a circle. And with some, depths and some, but it's not a globe. The universe is definitely not a globe. Just like this Earth is not a globe. It looks like a globe because there are domes on top and at the bottom. But basically, reincarnation is very important, is because this is how the whole entire universe, this is how our prison system is set up. We are tricked either through entity attachment, which A.J. Miller talks about, to reincarnate. So darkness is influencing us. One of his listeners actually made a comment about that, and he attempted to dodge it in the commenter. Just let him. Maybe he's right. There's no point in trying to convince this AJ guy. But I think he should have followed his instinct. In any case, let's look at the reincarnation video and the lies that AJ has to say about them. So far, let's just make sure we're clear. His divine truths can only be partially true, or have no truth because he is not at one with God. He's not at the level of awareness. Okay? So now, let's go into reincarnation.
Divine Truth Spirit discussions. Discussions with people who have lived on earth and who have now passed into the spirit world. Jesus and Mary help spirits in the first sphere who believe in reincarnation and assist other spirits to reincarnate. The session was recorded on the 23rd of December 2015 in Wilkesdale, Queensland, Australia.
Okay, so this section talks about reincarnation, and he attempts to lie. So let's look at it. It's about 2 minutes long.
If you could call it that.
It does vary somewhat.
Okay, let's just make sure we understand here. His wife is being channeled, so his wife is being possessed, voluntary possession, through another spirit. And so his wife, this spirit is speaking through his wife, and this is how the exchange is going. AJ is talking to this entity.
Mm-hmm. So do you notice the conception process?
No,
No. Okay.
no, we're not involved. This is a purely physical sort of thing, the gestation, and really the new soul, the new body,
Mm-hmm.
And the soul of this person returning
Mm-hmm.
come into connection.
Mm-hmm.
Often it's quite soon after birth,
Right.
and at times it's within the same family.